those who play together stay together. And that's massively important, because actually the game of golf, again, over the years, like dad would go off and play golf, but actually what we want to say is we want to bring mum, we want to bring the kids, we want to bring grandma, granddad, aunties, uncles, everybody, and actually everybody to experience the unbound joy of golf.
Hi everyone, I'm John Fiella, and welcome to another episode of the Golf Sustainability Podcast. This one's really special. I had an incredible opportunity this summer to travel to Scotland, and when I was there in Glasgow, I had a chance to visit GolfIt, which is a fascinating concept that I'm not even going to try to describe because my guest is going to tell us all about it. We're joined today by Russell Smith, who's the general manager of GolfIt. It's a one-of-a-kind facility developed by the Royal and Ancient Golf Club, which we'll refer to as the R&A from this point forward. And they have this concept of breaking all the rules that I found fascinating, and it's led to what I think is a super innovative project, on-ramp for introducing a whole new generation of players to the game of golf. Russell, thanks so much for joining me today on the Golf Sustainability Podcast, and thanks once again for the very, very gracious hospitality you showed me this summer at the facility.
Thanks to you, John, for the opportunity to come on to your podcast and talk about GolfIt. And yeah, it was amazing to see you in Glasgow, and I think you definitely brought the sunshine, which we always really appreciate here in Scotland, given that most of the time it's kind of damp and a bit wet, but you definitely brought the sunshine on the day. So you're allowed back.
Thank you. I want to come back. We actually had a great week. We played 6 rounds of golf, and we only had rain once, which, as I've been told, it's a very uncharacteristic week, but it was a wonderful...
That was summer. That was summer in Scotland.
Yes.
1 week, that is summer.
Well, I enjoyed it, and I look forward to returning. Russell, why don't we start by having you tell us a little about your career journey and your current role at GolfIt?
Yeah, cool. Okay. Yeah, where do I start? I've always had a sort of love for sport, and I guess the power of sport and the sort of connections that can be made through teams and getting together with friends and positively motivating each other through a sport. But my background really, so I studied acting at university, so I am a failed actor. My dream was to become the first ginger James Bond. And at some time that might happen. So I'm still not holding. That dream has not left me yet. But at some point, we never know. We'll hold that thought. But after coming out of university, I was really given the opportunity by a very close friend of mine to, while I was trying to become the next James Bond, coming to work at a football club in Edinburgh. Called Hibernian Football Club, and Hibernian Football Club is my team, so it's the mighty Hibernian Football Club. And I went in as a sort of hospitality coordinator. Had a lot of sort of background in hospitality and sort of customer service. Really, that was my first job, part-time job out of school. And I think for me it was all about that sort of like customer interaction and actually like making people feel good. So actually the opportunity to work for Hibs as my team and to go into that sort of customer service environment was a really positive one for me. And very quickly I then realised that I wanted to get more into the sort of the commercial side of the business. So the opportunity came up to really start selling advertising, sponsorship and partnerships and all that kind of stuff. And then I stayed there for 11 years. So progressed from putting names onto a table plan to leading the department. So by the time I'd left, I was head of commercial and marketing, worked with some incredible people, some very strong leaders as well, specifically a guy called Tony Mowbray, who was the manager of Hibernian Football Club at the time, who really was he wasn't just the manager of the football club, but he was the manager of the whole brand, really. And that for me, I absolutely loved. Then spent some time from Hibs working for an amazing charity called the Homeless World Cup, and the Homeless World Cup changes lives through the power of football. So it literally takes people from their lowest point in their life, gives them hope, gives them motivation, gives them a team, and provides them with a new lease of life. And I've seen it. It works. It absolutely works. It is mind blowing. And if you ever get the opportunity to view the Homeless World Cup or check it out online, then please do so, because it's an amazing organisation. It's led by a very inspiring leader called Mel Young. And then from there I moved into horse racing. So I ran Newcastle, so I was general manager at Newcastle Racecourse, again working for a great guy. He is a Hearts fan, so being a Hibs fan and a Hearts fan, there was always a bit of banter going on with that, which we still do to this day. And then I went down to run Bath Racecourse, and then the flagship racecourse, Doncaster Racecourse. So more sort of venue management, but also with that sort of commercial angle to it, really going in and motivating a team, leading a team, and really delivering success within another sport, and really trying to attract that new audience into horse racing as well. And developing lots of strategies on that, so theming and music and family fun days out and all that kind of stuff. And then I was given the opportunity to work for the R&A and to bring Golf It to life. And for me, this has been absolutely fantastic, not even project, it's like I don't know, I feel like through all the experiences that I've had in terms of obviously venue management, and then also the understanding how sport can really positively impact people's lives, that is what we're trying to do with Golf It. So I feel like everything has came to this moment, and yeah, it's been an amazing journey so far that we've been on at Golf It. So yeah, that's me.
Yeah, well, it's interesting that you closed with the realization that kind of everything you've done has culminated in this. I see how that's the case, and it's perfect. So you mentioned the R&A. I think the origin story of Golf It is really fascinating, as it's been backed and supported by the R&A. Tell us about the genesis of Golf It and how it fits into the R&A and what the R&A hopes to achieve with it.
Yeah, absolutely. So the R&A, obviously global governing body for golf, obviously out with the US and Mexico. So our purpose, main sort of aims and objectives really, is to make golf more affordable, accessible and inclusive, and to ensure that the game is thriving 50 years from now. So Golf It, we describe as a physical manifestation to achieve those aims and objectives of the R&A. And essentially, when building Golf It out, or the whole vision for golf, which was developed obviously by Martin Slumbers, our chief executive, is really on the premise that golf started in Scotland, and it's a game for the people. But it's not just a game, it's a component of the community. And what we have done with Golf It, and we'll obviously come on to that, is that we have absolutely embedded our venue and our brand into the community. And that was the first thing that we did, was to embed within the community and really provide that access opportunity for everybody to connect with the game, and really to batter down those sort of like misconceptions, to challenge what people thought about or what people think about golf. I think we can all just put it out there that golf over the years has kind of lost its way. It, in some settings, is very elitist. It's expensive to get to actually to pick up a set of golf clubs, to buy a set of golf clubs. So essentially what we wanted to create was a new model, really, to bring that to the market. And everything that we have developed has been through that lens of making the game affordable, make it appealing, so actually present it in a completely different way to a traditional setting, and make it absolutely inclusive for every single person within a community to get access to it. And that's essentially what we stand by, and that's everything that we do. When we open the doors every single day, that's how we want to present it, and it's going to be done in a fun and in a vibrant way. And I think one of our core values that we stick with and have on the wall, and you've seen it, is that those who play together stay together. And that's massively important, because actually the game of golf, again, over the years, like dad would go off and play golf, but actually what we want to say is we want to bring mum, we want to bring the kids, We want to bring grandma, granddad, aunties, uncles, everybody, and actually everybody to experience the unbound joy of golf. And that's essentially what we are. That's another sort of huge brand moment for us as well, as it's basically creating the unbound joy of golf for all.
The thoughtfulness behind this is really impressive. And even though I was there and spent a morning with you, I didn't get the importance of it related to golf has lost its way. That's a really powerful notion. And I think for you to get that and understand it, you really do need to understand the origin, which I suspect many people really don't appreciate, that this started as a game for the people. This started as a game where the courses were an important part of the community. We haven't talked about this before, and I'm putting you a little on the spot by asking you, but I have to ask, why do you think golf lost its way? Because I agree with you.
I think it's a variety of different reasons. I think it comes down to accessibility. I think that's the main issue. I mean, I still, and I'll admit this on camera, that when I was young, getting into the game of golf, so I lived beside a golf course. And my granddad gave me a a wooden shafted golf. That's how old I am, John. That's how old I am. Wooden shafted golf club, which was a 1-iron, literally a flat face, like this phone, flat face. I was like, right, son, I'm going to tell you how to play golf. We're going to do it a really hard way, a 4-year-old. And I loved it though, because I was with my granddad, do you know, and he was teaching me how to play this really hard game. But I picked it up and obviously my access to the golf club was great because the golf club was literally just over the garden wall. But not everybody gets that. Do you know, not everybody has that level of access into the game. And either for, again, traditional golf clubs, like, well, are you part of the junior membership? Like, are you a member? Is your dad a member? Is your granddad a member? All that kind of stuff. And actually, to appeal to the masses, what you need to be able to do is you need to be able to provide equipment. You know, and if you don't have the equipment readily available to people to give it a go, at least, then I think it makes it very difficult for you actually to be excited about the game. And actually, I was having an interesting conversation this morning with somebody, and they've said that, well, if you don't know golf it and everything that we're doing here, and you just think about golf, it can still seem to be like a bit stuffy. But then you come to golf it, and it's like, oh, this place is not stuffy. I mean, there's music playing, and there's vibrancy and colour, and people smiling, and that for me is, I think, it's accessibility. I think that's the main reason why it's been difficult. And I think obviously, like, through COVID, obviously the first thing the first activity that people were allowed to do was to get a golf club into their hand and wander around the golf course, which is fantastic for the game. And there's this obviously a big spike in retention, and what's been fantastic with the numbers that we've seen from an R&A perspective is that's been sustained, you know, so people are sticking with it. So actually the big opportunity for us at Golf It is, once we get people excited about the game, it's about them being sticky after that, because you can go and you can play 9 holes of golf or 18 holes of golf or hit a ball in the driving range, and you can have a rubbish round, but you can have one shot.
That's right.
That makes you go, I can do it. This is easy. I can do this. And it keeps you coming back, you know? And I think it's the only sport, or one of the only sports, that that can make you feel that way. So positive.
Yeah. Here in the States, there's a group called the National Golf Foundation that does just incredible research. They're the foremost research authority on the game here. And their CEO, Greg Nathan, talks about shot euphoria, which is that feeling when you hit that one good shot. And as a high handicapper, all I need is to experience shot euphoria a couple, 3 times around, and I'm coming back. It's really, so accessibility is the root of the issue, and I have to agree with you. Here in the States, I guess when the game started, it was all about municipal courses, and then I guess a commercial opportunity emerged, and people realized you could do things like country clubs, and then it became, hey, you know what, we do a nice golf course, we could sell some houses, and then all of these housing developments focused on golf courses. So the growth in the game was really driven by the advent of private clubs and the advent of golf communities and kind of munis, which I guess are the primary point of access for communities, was left behind. And this notion of affordable, accessible, inclusive, I hope this gets adopted in the States. And, when we met, I referenced, I think there's so much opportunity for your model here in the U.S. And you're really onto something. And the vibrancy that I experienced when I was there was off the charts. So we've referenced GolfIt a lot, but we really haven't described yet what it is. Please give us an overview of the concept, the structure, and the model of GolfIt, because yep. I really think it's fascinating.
First thing to say is that and again, just pulling at the thread a little bit of what you were talking about access in municipal golf courses. I mean, that ultimately is the way that people start playing golf in Scotland as well. Certainly, like I was telling you about the golf course that was over the garden fence for me, that was a municipal golf course, which is fantastic. And so what we did a few years ago, what Martin did a few years ago, was Glasgow City Council basically came to us, and there was an opportunity to purchase Letham Hill Golf Course. So Letham Hill Golf Course, steeped in history, opened in the early 1900s, was an absolute key part of the community. Lots of actually tour golfers, Scottish tour golfers, started their golfing journey on Letham Hill Golf Course. And it's been really interesting to find that out, the amount of people that have actually said, I started here, and it's brilliant. But over the years, just through lack of resource, lack of funding, as every council across the world probably feels, is that it kind of became a bit tired, a bit unloved, misused and abused. So our opportunity really was to breathe new life into such a historic site. But the first thing that we did was, because we knew that it was such an important part of the community, is that we spoke to the community, because there was no point in sort of people sitting around the boardroom table in St Andrews saying, right, well, this is what we want. Actually, no. What do the people want? So again, going back to the purpose, this is about giving the game back to the people. Therefore, actually, let's listen to the audience. But first of all, let's understand who is the audience that we want to attract, and what's going to give us the best opportunity for stimulating mass participation back into the game. So through research, we identified that active families was our core target audience, lapsed golfers and time-starved golfers. So once we knew that, we then sent out essentially a survey with lots of open text boxes to say, and sent it out to the people of Glasgow, with a heavy weighting towards the northeast of Glasgow, which is obviously where we're situated. And we asked them loads of questions about how do you want your golf to be consumed, how do you want it to be presented, what's really important for you in terms of supplementary activities. And we put all of that into the pot, and worked with various different people to bring that to life. So the 18-hole golf course at Letham Hill is now a 9-hole golf course. That is the end of the ultimate pathway into golf. So we needed a starting point. So the starting point of the ultimate pathway into golf is park golf. So park golf is really pitch and putt reimagined. And the reason why we wanted to retain that is that the pitch and putt area of Old Letham Hill was adored by the local community. And again, lots of people told us that in the summer holidays I used to get left there for 6 weeks by my parents, and they used to give me sandwiches to have a picnic down there and all that kind of stuff. So there's a real positive community connection with that spot. So we thought, right, okay, well, we need to retain that, but let's reinvent it, let's reinvigorate it, let's reposition the whole thing. So on the pitch and putt area now, it's not just a grass sort of green field where you can smack balls. We've got a small 9-hole, not even par 3, probably par 2 golf course And the equipment that we use on that little pitch and putt area is plastic headed equipment. So it's got this equipment called Golfway. So big plastic headed golf club, undersized tennis ball, and foot golf size holes. So if you're 3 or if you're 103, you can get round it very quickly. You can have loads of fun with your family. There's very short fairways, and it's all about just getting people out and experiencing golf for the very, very first time, actually on an actual golf course with pins and all that kind of stuff. And we give them a little scorecard, all that cool stuff. That equipment we use in our schools programme, and I'll talk about our schools programme in a second when we speak about community. You then go from pitch and putt onto our 3 adventure golf courses. So our 3 adventure golf courses, we didn't want to design that. So we worked with a company called Beano Brains, and you might know of the comic book The Beano and the Dandy, which is a really old sort of comic book. I worked with a company called DC Thompson who published that, and they had a group of 5 to 12-year-olds. And again, it was a survey that we sent out to them to say, look, if you were going to design an adventure golf course, what would it look like? What would the themes be like? What would the colours be like? What would the whole structure of it be like? And we were absolutely gobsmacked with the feedback that we got from the kids, because we expected it to be pirates and dinosaurs and princesses and castles and all this kind of stuff. But what came back was essentially everything that they're learning at school. So we have one 9-hole course which is all about planets and intergalactic cities. We've then got sustainability and recycling, which is called Our Earth. And then we've got Our Country, which is all about Scotland, but it's about the way that we've designed the holes. It's about the effect of climate change on our country, which is amazing. So, like, kids are clearly learning a lot more in school than what I ever did. So it was just amazing to be able to bring that actually bring it to life. You then go from adventure golf into the hub onto our 52 bay double-decker driving range, where we have all the tech. So we work with Top Tracer, who are fantastic, and that having tech on the driving range has been fantastic in being able to connect with that family audience and that traditional non-golfer. And even for the lapsed golfers and time-starved golfers, actually for them to be able to document and on their app, actually to be able to see the progress that people are making as well. And we design lots of different programs, whether it's winter leagues, coaching programs, etc., all by utilising this tech in a really positive way. The driving range, I mean, you've seen it. It is full of colour. The way that we present the sort of customer experience is that it's all done on an unlimited ball basis. So you can come in, you buy half an hour or 90 minutes, and you can smack as many balls as you want. So over the last year, we have had just over 8 million balls smashed out onto the driving range, which for year one, I mean, we were absolutely blown away. I mean, it's double the target for where we expected that we were going to be. So that's, again, what we wanted to do there was we didn't want to sell sort of 50 balls or 100 balls, because if you're a kid just getting into the game, and I've had personal experience of this, of my now 12-year-old son, who was 8 at the time when I took him to a driving range for the first time, and I said, right, here you go, here's 75 balls, and I thought, right, we've got an hour, he's going to be quite happy hitting 75 ball, and within 15 minutes he was saying, Dad, can I get another bag of balls?
Yeah.
So we wanted to take that away, and we wanted to say, look, if you've got an hour or half an hour with your son, daughter, partner, friend, whoever, actually you know that you've got that dedicated amount of time with them, and you can just have as much fun as you want, just hit as many balls as you want. So that's working really well for us. We've then got a simulator as well, so it's a TrackMan simulator, and then you then step out onto the golf course, and the golf course, as I've said, 9-hole golf course, but again creating that pathway for a non-golfer or somebody just getting into the game. We've introduced 5 tee positions, and they're all colour coded. So we've taken away any gender, any sort of junior, adult, whatever. It's all about what you feel your ability is at that time. So we've got four coloured tees, And then we've got a fifth tee position, which is a massive red star. AstroTurf, always elevated, always on a camber. So if you top it, miss it, thin it, always in a par 3 position, about 75 yards is the furthest away. But like I say, if you miss it, thin it, the ball will always have positive momentum to get onto the green. So as somebody getting into the game, you don't have that sort of level of frustration, right? Because we all know golf's hard. Yeah, golf is it's a hard game and a frustrating game from time to time as well. So let's take those frustrations away and let's just get that person into the game. First of all, make it really fun. Give them that moment of actually feeling like a star as well when they get into the game right from the start. And what was amazing to work with our golf course architect about was actually for it to be part of the fairway. So it didn't feel like it was a forward tee that was in the rough. Right. So this is actually a purposeful tee that's actually part of the hole. We've had loads of sort of kids that play from those tee positions on a regular basis. We've actually had competitions that have been played from those tee positions as well, which is fantastic. But again, it's people that have never ever been involved in the game. So we're really proud of what we've created, and like I say, we do feel like we've got the ultimate pathway into golf by using all of those facilities.
Yeah, wow, it's so thoughtfully done, and what you've described is classic best practice in new product development. You know, you didn't have people sitting around a boardroom table saying, hey, here's what I think, here's what I think, here's what I think. You went out and you did customer research and you identified your core segments. I mean, this is the way Procter & Gamble, launches a new detergent or a new shampoo. It's very sophisticated, market-driven approach. I really like the way each of those components are set up as modules, and it's a clear pathway and very thoughtful.
What I forgot to mention as well was that's the golf side of it. But what also came across really strongly, and again, trying to speak to those different audiences to get them into the game. So as you saw within the venue, so we have paddle tennis, so that's a bit like pickleball. Right. In the US, we've got 3 courts because again, coming back from the research was that what other sport, people that play another sport, what's the highest propensity to be able to actually convert them into becoming a golfer? And people that play tennis actually came out really strongly, interestingly. So we thought, okay, well, let's do tennis, but let's do tennis differently. So paddle, obviously being one of the fastest growing sports in Europe, we thought, okay, well, let's work with a fantastic partner as we do with Game for Paddle. And their utilisation on their paddle course is off the charts. I mean, it's like 70% occupied every single week, which is amazing, again, for year one. We also have a nursery, so an early years nursery, because again, going back to that piece around community, childcare provision within this area of Glasgow was challenging. So again, we wanted to provide that opportunity for people to connect with us, for them to literally start their life at Golf It, and we now have sort of 40 kids that are loving life here at Golf It. And then we also work with a fantastic F&B partner called The Big Feed. They're an established brand within Glasgow, and they provide street food. So again, it was all about thinking about, like, food came out really strongly on that customer research. Right. But again, we just didn't want to do that sort of the traditional food that you would get at a traditional golf club. We wanted to really twist it and have the ability to be able to really bring in sort of new concepts every single weekend. So one weekend it will be about tacos, the next it'll be about Lebanese, the next one it'll be about Indian food, you know what I mean? So that fresh content that is coming in to bring that family audience into venue was really important. If we can use food as a way of bringing people in here, that was really important as well, because it came out of the research. It was all data-driven decisions. Yeah.
Well, that's one of the things that ties those 3 pieces together, paddle, nursery, and food, is that I believe you license those operations to partners. So it's not like you had to hire 20 headcount to do that. You found good, reliable partners. And the nursery, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I thought that was fascinating. I mean, kids are starting their lives there, but also if someone wants to get out and play, but they got the kid they got to take care of. They drop them at the nursery and play. Once again, very, very thoughtful. What were some of the most surprising learnings that you experienced from the project, Russell?
I think what we were really humbled by. Well, actually, let me start off with when we first came into to the area. This is before even a spade was in the ground. What we had to do, and this was a learning. Absolutely, this was a learning. So where we're located is we're located in one of the most challenging areas, not just within Scotland, but within the whole of the UK. So one of the most deprived areas within the whole of the UK. What we had to do, and what we realised very quickly, is that we had to embed ourselves within the community. We had to make sure that people felt that they could get to us. So again, going back to that accessibility piece, it was like, look, we were very strong on this, is that through all the discussions, and I went out and along with some of my team, went out and spoke to lots of different sort of community groups and community leaders, and really positioned golf as theirs, because it's theirs. It's a community asset. That's essentially what we've built here. It's a community asset. So one of the biggest learnings that we took on board straight away was that we wanted to provide opportunities for the community to absolutely get involved actively with everything that we were presenting. We wanted to work in partnership with them to really enhance their offering as well. A good example of that would be the work that we do with St Paul's Youth Forum. Now, St Paul's Youth Forum are a youth and community group that have operated within this area of Glasgow for the last sort of 15 years. Before they started, or the reason for them starting, is that there was a huge problem with gang violence within this area of Glasgow. And Blackhill is at the east end of the golf course, and Rickazy, which is again a very challenging area of Glasgow, is at the west end of the golf course. The kids literally used the golf course as the battlefield. So it was literally the battlefield, which is hideous. But there was an absolute requirement for St Paul's to come in to come in and to develop lots of different programs to basically stop kids from killing each other, and for injuring each other pretty severely. So over the last 15 years, they have essentially eradicated gang violence from this area of Glasgow. They are incredible. The people that work for them are absolute angels, like honestly angels. They're superb. So we, knowing this, we knocked on their door and said to them, look, we're coming here. We want to be absolutely accessible to you guys, but how can we help? So how can we actually provide you with opportunities and actually really connect with our venue? And they were blown away by that, because nobody's asked. Even they felt that they've kind of been, and this isn't me speaking, but this is people from the community saying that they've kind of felt like they've been left behind by governments and councils and all that kind of stuff. So actually, for an organisation, this weird organisation from St Andrews, coming in and knocking on the door and saying, look, we're coming in and actually we're here to help you, was brilliant. So we're working lots of different programmes with them. They have their programme which is called On Bikes. On Bikes is essentially provides people from the local community with bike rental. So what that does, importantly, is that people from the community can come in, they can rent a bike or they can take a bike for free, and that then opens up their opportunity to work out with the community. So actually it opens up their scope of actually employability, where in the past they just weren't able to do that because they just don't have transport. It's a fact of life, and there is no bus services that come into this area. It's terrible. So we wanted to enhance that and really give them an opportunity. So we now have a bike rental service. It's completely, we obviously don't charge them a rental or anything like that, and all the donations then go back into their social enterprise. They also sell bikes down there. They now have an amazing partnership with Raleigh and with Van Ram, where they sell accessible bikes to lots of different dealers across the UK. So we've grown something from this little idea, grown something into an enterprise for them, which is amazing. So working with the community is absolutely, that was the biggest learning that we took out of our first interaction with coming into the community.
Interesting. So once again, being as community focused as you've been, it's led to other opportunities to expand the impact. What were some of the biggest challenges in developing Golf It?
I mean, there's always going to be challenges with a build. I mean, we had a fantastic partner, CCG, who built the building. We had a fantastic golf course architect, Scott McPherson, and Carrick, who reconstructed the golf course. We worked with IMG as well to help us support us on all of that. I think we wanted to open this really quickly to get the whole thing going. And I think the challenges that we have is just time. It was just time and weather, really, putting a stop to a lot of things. And I think, I mean, we are a pilot project, and I keep saying this to the guys, is that actually making mistakes is okay. It's fine. It's no problem. Because the only way you learn is by making mistakes. And we have made mistakes along the line, but I'll tell you what, we've done some amazing things as well. And we will take all those learnings forward with us to make sure that this operation is optimised as we go into Smash 2025, because we've done a really good job. The team have done a really good job in our first year of operation. I mean, to have gone from a standing start of 0 and the brand not even being thought about really, but from a consumer perspective, to now be completely embedded into a community, to have welcomed over 180,000 people into the building, to have delivered golf into schools and worked with over 12,500 school kids, to have welcomed 41 schools into venue, delivered nearly 5,000 golf lessons, to have had a women's open, to have had a junior open, to have welcomed, and we now have a disability programme that we now run as well. So being absolutely accessible to everybody, I'm very proud of the team.
Yeah, and in fact, the first year anniversary I think was in August. Yeah, because I was there in July, and I know you were getting ready for that. You just started to touch on some of the impacts of the community, and that was one of the things I was most impressed with, and that kind of ties back to the original premise, right?
Yep.
A game for the people, be an integral part of the community. You've had some fascinating impact on the community. You've mentioned some of the things like lessons and involvement with schools and the disabilities program. So I want to give you a chance to expand on that and any other key elements of community impact that you feel were most significant, Russell.
Yeah, I mean, as I mentioned, what we are delivering here is an engagement with a sport, and really using sport for community and social change, and that's the sort of the main component that's really came to the top when we've been working with all these sort of different people that we've been so lucky to have welcomed into golf over the last year. I mentioned the first thing that we did, or one of the first things that we did, was we stepped out into the community, obviously working with St Paul's, but another key component of that was the schools programme. So we made a commitment, and we're very appreciative of the support that we have from AIG to be able to deliver this. But our commitment was that within the first 5 years of operation is that we would work with 42,500 school kids within Glasgow, delivering in-curriculum golf to them, in classroom, in PE. Nobody has ever done that. So we put that on a wall and said, right, okay, that's a big number. We've got the ambition to be able to do that. How are we going to do it? So that was fun. So we worked with our colleagues in golf development, a gentleman called Gavin Forrester, who's fantastic. So he works within golf development. And Gav basically set up the structure for how we would then roll this out. We then brought in our head of golf, Alison McKechnie, who you met when you were here, and she literally picked up the clubs and went out and started delivering the education programme And that for us was our real sort of opportunity to step out into the community and really say, right, okay, well, Golf It is here. And it was also our opportunity to go, look, this is the market, like this is the future, actually. So if we can get this right by connecting with the youngest of people within this community and to give them access to a sport that they would never have ever have actually thought that they could do, never mind get access to, that was really important. It was massively important, a key part of our strategy in terms of building community connection. And I always laugh at the story that Alison came into this office and there's a shop literally 50 yards down the road from here. And she went, you'll never guess what, and this was just when the schools had come out. She said there's a line of about 30 kids that were trying to get into the shop, and they went, there's the Golf It lady. So absolutely, there was a connection there, do you know? And we hadn't even built the building at that time. I mean, she was walking about in this hoodie, which obviously says Golf It on. But that moment and that connection that was created with those kids at that time, I think where we've been really successful as well is that we now have a venue where the school, again, 200 yards along the road from here, and the venue, which is literally just there. Kids go from that school, from playing golf in the playground or in their gym hall or whatever, and then there's a place for them to go to then continue that golfing journey. So that for us was massively important, and like I say, the ambition that we've got in the next 5 years, 42,500 school kids will get a golf club into their hand for the very first time, which is amazing. In terms of the other programmes that we run, we do lots of coaching programmes, again trying to get people into golf. One of our most popular programmes, which is always oversubscribed, and we're now having to put on additional evenings, is our Ladies Learn programme. We started that. What we were really surprised at was that the level of demand was right there from the start. So immediately we had 45 women that were coming along on a Tuesday night and a Thursday night and having fun. And the feedback that we got from them straight away was, I don't feel like I'm judged here. Mm-hmm. Alison led the programme to start off with, so obviously like peer-to-peer, sort of female to female, there was obviously a comfortable environment that was created there. Lee, who is male, he's now taken it on, and it's now grown to, we now have over 100 ladies that are involved in the programme weekly, which is fantastic. Like I say, the schools programme has evolved, so now we have lots of schools that now come into venue, and we've delivered nearly 5,000 lessons for school kids in venue. We work with diverse communities as well, so we work with the Sikh community led by a gentleman called Harry Singh, who is a very good golfer, and he set up a small group of kids from the Sikh community, and they just didn't have a venue and somewhere that they felt that they could basically grow this programme, that sort of scaled the whole thing up. And because of the size of our driving range, obviously we can do that for them. So every Monday from 4 till 6, we have Harry, so he runs a programme called Crown Golf. So they come in every single Monday. We also work with the Muslim community, and we work with sports, which is LGBTQ plus community as well. So we're running programmes for basically every section of society. And the reason why we're so successful at that is that and I'm really humbled by it, it's the fact that we have made it such a welcoming and vibrant environment for people to, and again, this was one of our brand values, is basically be yourself. And I think that's ultimately what we want people to just be like, come in and have fun, and like just be yourself and have a laugh about the whole thing and make as much noise as you want, like you don't need to go into a driving range and go, shh, I'm practicing. Because actually if everybody's making noise, then that's cool, and one of the ways that we've got away, we straight away wanted to tackle that was like, we play music, but we play music like it's loud. So you're coming in and you've seen it, and it's, some of them, when we give our trailblazers, so that's our staff, the opportunity to put their playlists on, and some of it's a bit questionable sometimes. I'm a Britpop Oasis guy, and some of this dance stuff and all the rest of it is a bit questionable. But anyway, like I say, be yourself, put on whatever music you want, and just come in and have fun. And that's the first rule. I mean, we obviously talk about breaking rules and challenging convention and all the rest of it, but as the RNA, obviously we have to have rules. And obviously on our scorecard, we have local rules, obviously for the golf course. But the first rule on our scorecard is have fun. And that's it. Have fun. And the last one, which I don't know if I should publicly say, but I'm going to say anyway, is if in doubt, this is on the golf course, if in doubt, have a free drop on us.
I like that rule. That is an awesome rule.
I've taken it up loads.
Your engagement with schools started with you going to the schools and offering them golf at the school location as part of their PE program to introduce golf to kids that would probably have never been exposed to it. And it sounds like that's led to schools now coming to you with kids for lessons. That's fantastic. I'd like to see that in every state in the country here. That is fantastic. The one piece that I think is very powerful that I want to make sure you have an opportunity to touch on is your program to offer lessons to people with disabilities, because I had a chance to meet with the gentleman who was running it at the time, who himself is a champion golfer with a disability. So talk about that part of what you do, please.
Like you say, Barry he's the world #1 blind golfer in his category. He's one of our supervisors here at GolfIt. Very inspiring individual who inspires all of us every single day, and obviously has really used his disability in a really positive way. So we work with EDGA, so European Golf Disability Association. We have a wider partnership. Obviously the RNA has a wider partnership with EDGA where we run the G4D. But the partnership that we have with EDGA is really working with their team to make sure that our coaching team are able to deliver coaching programs specifically for people with additional support needs. And all of our pros have been put through the EDGA training program, which means that we can now proactively market and coach people with additional support needs and disabilities. So we're really at the start of that program. We want to grow it, we want to scale it, we want to make sure that that GolfIt becomes a destination for golfers with disabilities, and we'll get there. We'll definitely get there. We've had over 100 people already involved in the programs. We work with, again, some local schools on a bi-weekly basis. We work with a local secondary school here called Ashton Secondary School, and that's a school for kids with lots of different additional support needs. And we take the kids, we get them onto the golf course, we get them into the driving range. Some of these kids have got some severe additional support needs, autism, non-verbal, and there is nothing more or nothing that gives us more joy. And we have a fantastic video, please check it out on our social channels, of a young gentleman who picked up a golf club for the very first time. And the feedback that we got from his teachers was that they feel like he has found this something, because they've found it really difficult to get him engaged in anything. But then he came along and he started hitting balls. He actually started like throwing balls out of the driving range as well. And it was like, well, that's fine, because he's having fun, do you know? And he's picked up a golf club for the very first time. He was down on adventure golf. And again, for us, going back to the accessibility piece, it's about just providing access to the sport in whatever form it is. Actually just make it accessible to people, and that's what we are most proud about at GolfIt, is that we've done that and we will continue to do that, making golf accessible to everybody.
Wonderful program. For those of our listeners that aren't familiar with EDGAR, what exactly is EDGAR?
So EDGA is the European Golf Disability Association. So they run a variety of different programs and provide training and leadership and to make sure that venues are ready to be able to accept people with disabilities, obviously within a golfing environment. They're amazing. Definitely check them out.
Yeah, there are equivalent groups here in the U.S. A friend of mine, Dave Burton, runs one of them. It's the National Alliance for Accessible Golf.
Yeah.
So that's a good segue into the next thing I wanted to talk about, which is partnerships and the importance of partnerships in bringing Golf Fit to light. You've mentioned many of them along the way. What are some of the more important partnerships? How did you go about bringing them to life? To what extent was the RNA helpful with those?
I mentioned a lot about our community partnerships, which are clearly massively important for us and will help us with in terms of obviously connecting with the community and making sure that that's sustainable as well, which is obviously massively important. I mentioned AIG, so AIG obviously they are partners of the Women's Open. When they knew about Golf Fit coming to life, they clearly wanted to support foundation level golf, and the education program or schools program was the perfect way for them to get involved in our project, and we just could not have delivered the program to the scale without their support and continued support. We also have a partnership with Toro. So Toro provide all of our greenkeeping machinery equipment, which obviously ensures that we can provide a premium experience on the golf course with for me, arguably the best greens and best tees in this side of the country. They are tour quality greens, and that's not just me saying, that's our players that come back in and say, my God, these are the best. But more importantly, the partnership that we have with Toro is that they have provided us with the resource to be able to support and to enhance and to really connect with and provide opportunities for people within the local community. So every year we take 2 young people from the local community and we bring them into our greenkeeping apprenticeship program. We have had keepers that have gone through 2 years with us. They are now fully qualified. They're now, the third year was them going up to St Andrews. So we've developed them, we've coached them, we've trained them. They've gone through their college program and they are now maintaining the links courses up in St Andrews. Their 4th year, they will go to Bay Hill. So we have a fantastic partnership with the Arnold and Winnie Palmer Foundation. And again, we were blown away by the fact that they support us in so many different ways. And it's the only partnership that the Arnold and Winnie Palmer Foundation have out with the US. So again, we were blown away and we were very lucky to have Amy visit us. She's been here a couple of times, which is fantastic, and a massive supporter of everything that we're doing. So Arnold and Winnie Palmer Foundation, massive supporters of us and a fantastic partner. With their support, we are actually in the process of recruiting our first golf operations apprentice. So again, that's going to be a person from the local community, probably somebody that's just straight out of school, and we're going to expose them to everything in terms of golf operations. So whether that's obviously on the golf course, the customer service, marketing, hospitality, retail, etc. There's a whole program that they're going to be going through, and they will get a qualification at the end of that as well. We work with Adidas, so Adidas, as you can see, are our technical partners, but we're also developing a range of community initiatives that we'll be rolling out in 2025 with them. Also, we work with Callaway. So Callaway have essentially made the game of golf accessible to absolutely everybody from the northeast of Glasgow. And the reason how they've done that is that we provide their golf clubs free of charge on our driving range. And without that support, the accessibility goes away. So Callaway have made that possible through their partnership with us. Titleist have also, so Acushnet have also done the same, and the balls that are on the driving range are supplied by Titleist, by Acushnet, and we also have a Titleist fitting centre here at Golf Fit as well. So we've got a range of sort of industry partners as well as non-industry partners that are helping to support us and to they believe in our values, that they align, their company values align with our values, and what we've done, what we have the ability to be able to do here is to showcase that and to really elevate everybody and make sure that those values come out really strongly, and we promote that in a really efficient way across our social media channels and wider sort of marketing and PR channels.
Yeah. Well, that makes a world of sense, Russell, particularly the industry partners, right? Because, yes, they're providing great support, but they share in the mission and vision of what it is you're trying to create, right? If you genuinely are successful in growing the game, Callaway, Titleist, Toro, they're all going to benefit. So they're participating in the growth of the game. And I've got to believe they love to have a vehicle to provide more local community support to advance the game of golf. So in my view, you're doing them a service by, making those partnership opportunities available. So very well structured. I am so blown away by what you're doing. I'm going to do everything I can to make sure this particular episode is shared with, senior people from the various associations and governing bodies that I've established relationships here with the States, because, we need something like this, and we need you to move to the States, Russell.
Well, it's warmer than Glasgow. I'm up for it.
Hey, I thank you so much for your generous sharing of information. I'd now like to spend kind of the last part of our time together, getting to know you a bit better. Personally, you're a very inspiring person, and you're clearly very smart, sure, very articulate, very driven. But what drives you? What would you say drives you, Russell?
That's a good question. I think for me, impact is massive. I think that for me, I want to see, for everything for the energy that you spend on something, you want to see an outcome. Mm-hmm. So I'm very outcome driven, and that's the same for I guess the way that I lead the team as well. It's that that's really what drives me. Ultimately, again, it's probably going back to what we said right at the start, is that connecting with people and essentially putting smiles on people's faces. Like, that for me is huge. I love that in my personal life, and I've got a fantastic family, young kids, amazing partner, and who all know how important, like, actually having fun and putting smile, like, and connection, and just putting smiles on people's faces. That's essentially what. And I've been very privileged to have been part of lots of different organisations where I've had the opportunity to be able to do that. Whether it's and it's always been through sport, and because that's the power of sport. I mean, even at the lowest points, and I've had some low points, especially when I was at Hibs and we got relegated. Actually, worse than that was when we played Hearts in the Scottish Cup final and got beat 5-1. That was the worst day of my life. And having to reinvent the club and all the rest of it on the back of that, oh my God. But yeah, even then, you still go, right, okay, there was something to be learnt there.
You're clearly driven to make a difference, and you have, and I've got a feeling you're going to make a difference in many more people's lives going forward. Who has inspired you most?
I think certainly with this project, and I think the determination of our chief executive, and I know he's obviously leaving at the end of this year, which is obviously sad, but he's deciding to retire. But actually, the determination that Martin has had to bring golf it to life and to really challenge convention and enable the RNA to present itself in a very different way to what it usually. That's brave. Like, that is brave.
Amen.
And for me, like, I take huge inspiration from that, to go, do you know what, like, this is a leap, and that obviously comes with huge responsibility as well. And yeah, I mean, I was massively inspired by him. I think in previous lives, I've had some, like I say, I've had fantastic leaders that I've worked with. I mentioned obviously Tony Mowbray, who I still hold in massively high regard, and people in the US might not know Tony, but Tony went through a lot of adversity within his life, lost his wife at a very young age to cancer, and had the resilience to pick himself up, but used that experience in a really positive way, and the way that he built a team of, like, very sort of young people to essentially win a trophy. I mean, he'd left the club by that point, but it was his team that won the trophy after he had left. Yeah, he's just an incredibly inspiring. Yeah, I've had loads of exposure to lots of really inspiring leaders. So
Yeah, it sounds like you really have been very fortunate. The universe works in strange ways where it puts you in front of people who were, I think, sent to get you in the right path and direction. And I think describing Martin Slumber's courage to take the bold move to do Golf It, I think, is appropriate, and it will clearly be an important part of his legacy. And I've got to believe he's thrilled with what you've done. You talked about a challenge in getting Golf It off the ground. What, outside of Golf It, what's the greatest challenge that you faced, Russell?
Bringing up 3 children.
That's a
Every
challenge.
day, John. Every day.
That's a challenge, all right.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I've got 3 amazing kids, 14-year-old, 12-year-old, and a 2-year-old. And that is the biggest challenge. Like, for me, that is the biggest challenge, to make sure that they understand the sort of like good values and good behaviours and all that kind of stuff. And I think that's the most important thing for me, is actually to be able to, because I was brought up in an amazing environment, and I've got an amazing mum and an amazing dad, and to be able to, and amazing people around us as well that influenced us, both myself and my brother. Amazing grandparents who are my grandma on my mum's side, who really gave me that first opportunity into hospitality, and I still remember everything that she told me about, right, this is the way to make people feel. Essentially, it's her fault. It is her fault that we're here. So she told me everything about, right, this is the way to behave in front of customers and all that kind of stuff. And she was a waitress for a long time, and yeah, just a sort of brilliant communicator and just a nice person. And that for me is, I just want to be able to pass that on to my kids as well. So yeah, in terms of challenges, it's just making sure that they are kind and nice people, and embrace every opportunity, because there's going to be loads of hurdles in the way, and we continue to go through hurdles in our lives, but it's just tackling them really positively and jumping over them.
Yeah, well, look, the biggest responsibility we have is making sure our kids are on the right path and leading towards becoming contributors to society and leaving the world a better place. And you take that responsibility very seriously, obviously, and you're honoring that. And I hope your kids understand how much of an impact you're having on the communities in which you touch and operate.
Thank you. I mean, as I would just reiterate, the team that we've got here are fantastic. They're absolutely fantastic. And I think the way that everybody understands the goal, what are we looking to do here, and for everything that I've obviously explained earlier on, everybody gets it, and that's the most important thing here. So everybody has contributed to the success of golf in year one, and I'm really super excited about what we can achieve over the next few years, and see how we can scale this up and get this going.
Yeah. Well, that's a tribute to your leadership. I don't care what sort of an organization or operation or company that you're running, nonprofit, for-profit, doesn't matter. Having alignment with everyone in the organization, so everyone on the team understands what the end goal is, and everyone understands their role in making that happen. That's the sign of great leadership. So at the end of the day, what would you like to leave behind for future generations, Russell?
I think, again, going back to that impact piece, it's about having been able to give people the opportunity to positively impact people, whether that's in a very simple way, putting a smile on somebody's face, or actually taking, what we're doing with our Fairways to Learning programme, which we've not touched on, but actually taking a child or a young person that's hard to reach within a community in an academic setup, and actually providing them with loads of exposure to lots of different sectors of society and job sectors, and give them a sense of actually, right, okay, well, school might not be for me, but there's something that will be. And actually that's a good segue into my granddad on my dad's side, who was a school teacher, and he had that conversation with lots of people as a school teacher to say, look, academia might not be your thing, but there will be something out there. And for me, it was when I was working at Hibs, there was a guy that came up to me in the hospitality suite, and he said, "Are you Ronnie Smith's grandson?" And I said, yes. I went, how do you know that? He said, because you look like him. And I was like, oh, right, okay, fine. And he said, your granddad gave me the most important advice in my life. And he said, is that school's not for everybody. He said, but you'll find something that is. And he went on and had an amazing career in the army, and he did amazing things and had a lovely family and all the rest of it. But that was my granddad's legacy for him. So if I can have half of that would be amazing.
Well, listen, what a great note to end the conversation on. Your granddad would be very proud, and you're following in his footsteps, and all the work that you're doing is going to change the lives of many. And I am so privileged to have been able to, bring this conversation to our community. Russell Smith, thank you very much.
Thanks, John. Appreciate the opportunity. Cheers.
And to our audience, thanks for being with me today. This was just an awesome conversation. And, one of the goals that I'm trying to bring to life with golf sustainability is something that I learned, over 40 years ago at Procter & Gamble when I started my career. And that was the notion of search and reapply. And that as you find people that have suffered a problem that you're suffering with now and see how they addressed it. There's so much great work going on around the world in the game of golf that I think there's opportunity to apply those lessons here in the U.S. And in the U.S., we're trying to help golf return to its roots, make it a game for the people, for more of the people, and providing that accessibility and inclusiveness to the game. And I think what you've heard here described by Russell Smith at GolfIt is a great model that I would encourage everyone that has the opportunity to visit it to please go visit it. My goal is to bring conversations with leaders like Russell to you in every episode of the Golf Sustainability Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode and this conversation, please subscribe to the podcast, tell your friends and colleagues about it, keep watching the show, and I appreciate you. So thanks very much and have a great day.